I'm Peggy Kelly with the Mighty Santa Paula Times, and this is Good Morning Santa Paula. It's Thursday, April 14th, day before tax day, so get those pens out. And our guest today is City Manager, Santa Paula City Manager Dan Singer. Hi, Dan. How are you? Nice seeing you.
I'm good, Peggy.
Good. We haven't seen you in a while. I know you've been very good. Yes. Well, we're glad to have you here today.
And likewise, I'm glad to be here. Always happy to share good information about the city.
Yeah, and there's plenty to talk about, that's for sure. It's been very busy in City Hall and with the council. So let's go right into very good news as far as the grant program goes. Could you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so a week and a half ago, the council authorized a portion of our federal stimulus dollars to go towards about 10, 11 local nonprofits that especially were not only hit by the pandemic, but also were so actively supporting our community during the pandemic. And it was absolutely a feel-good moment. Each group that's receiving funds had a chance to get up, say a little bit about what they do, how they serve the city, and also, how they were intending to use these monies. Everything from the Santa Clara Valley Hospice to Spirit of Santa Paula, serving our homeless, Food Share, Podar Poplar, even Spark and Carl, our animal shelters, were given some funding. Of course, the Boys and Girls Club got probably the most funding. And these awards ranged from anywhere from as little as $5,000 to as much as $42,000. So
wow, that's
yeah.
nice. Yeah, even the small one, it's nice to have money like that, period.
It is. And these groups, they really are, they make up the fabric of our community, right? So they're out providing services that our residents rely on and depend on. In many cases, these funds were put towards food and necessary supplies, or to utility assistance, housing assistance, you name it. So really pleased to be able to support these groups. The council intends to probably do this next year with our second half of the stimulus funds. So it's just another way to support the groups working so hard in our community. Yeah,
and COVID was so tough on so many different businesses and nonprofits. People sometimes forget that nonprofits definitely are tied into the economy and giving, and it's wonderful that they were able to at least get some backfill from the city, and hopefully they're going to pick up too, because we know all our nonprofits, the contributions to them are down to the donations.
That's right. In many cases, these groups have annual fundraising events or activities that raise money, and they have to either cancel those or postpone them. So
yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and for several of them, that's their major source of funding is several of these fundraisers. Now, the voting district process, big changes coming to Santa Paula. We're going to be having district voting. The council agreed to explore that path, or at least go down that path. So yeah. Do you want to catch us up on that?
Yeah, it does represent a real significant change for a community like ours. Residents historically have had an opportunity to go to the polls and help select the people that they think are most desirable and most qualified to be on the city council. While that process won't change in that, it's still a democratic, popularity contest, if you will. What will change is that residents will only be voting to select a single person in a district-based election. So they'll no longer have the opportunity to influence the makeup of the entire council. They'll simply vote for whoever's competing in their district. Now, the district boundaries haven't been formed yet. We're just at the very initial stage of this process. I would point out that this is not a process that the council brought on. It was basically through a challenge that we needed to comply with the California Voters' Right Act. This was an act that was adopted back in, I think, 2006 or something around there.
Yes.
Interestingly, Santa Paula voters voted on a similar question when we had a challenge some 18 years ago, and by a 70 to 30% margin turned down the idea of going to district elections. But we don't really have much choice. We could fight legally, but we would bear not only our own legal expenses if we lost, but also the expenses of the attorney who has basically challenged us in this matter.
Mm-hmm. And I
So
know
the council believes it's inevitable that we need to do this, and we will begin that process this spring.
And of course, the school district just did it last several years ago, and they took it upon themselves without receiving the letter just to go ahead. And part of that with the time was because of the fact they were afraid of the expense.
Yeah.
The potential expense. So people are used to it now with the school district, and I'm sure it'll be fine with the council district. And the good news is we have more and more people voting now. I was just at a lunch today and we were discussing how they had a record voter turnout in Santa Paula in the last election, as they did other places, because of the mail-in votes, because everybody got a mail-in vote and they could use it or not use it or go to the polls, whatever they wanted to do. But it was a tremendous success.
Yes. Yeah. And on that topic, because voting is so important, it's such a part of our democracy and our system. Latino Town Hall, which is a local nonprofit support and advocacy group, in their request to the council for the funding we were just talking about, they asked for funds to hire interns and work with youth to go out and help register more voters in town.
Oh, great.
And I thought that was a marvelous idea. And so they'll be getting some funding, and I hope that they're successful in fact, even getting more people registered.
Absolutely.
And voting has been made a lot easier because of being able to mail it in, or now we have a permanent ballot box in front of City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all very positive.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the process goes. As far as, do you have any idea of how it might go as far as, carving out the districts, as it were, and things like that?
Yeah, there's a couple of key steps, and we'll outline a kind of a path forward to the council in early May. The most important step is hiring what's called a demographer, somebody who's actually helping look at the maps and the statistics, because one of the criteria is that each of the 5 districts in our town will need to be roughly the same population. And you want to achieve similar makeup in terms of ethnicity, and other demographic figures. Also, the districts have to be contiguous. So the school district had a little easier time of it than we might, because their boundaries actually go a little beyond the city limits, and they take in some of the agricultural parcels. So they were able to kind of connect across town some of those districts. We may not have that same ease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once the demographer kind of helps us with the shaping of options, then we'll hold some community workshops. We'll look to get resident input on this and feedback. The council will have to hold 2 workshops, and then eventually we'll make a final determination of what those districts look like. It won't happen in time for the November 2022 election. Because the county would need that feedback by like the end of April. So
Yeah.
And the council really made it clear at their meeting, let's take our time with this, let's do it right, let's involve the public, be transparent about the process, and then it'll be here probably forevermore.
Yes. Well, it's going to be very interesting. It'll certainly give me plenty to write about, and plenty for the community to look forward to, because it's different and it's new, and it's hopefully it might get more people involved in the process of just being politically active.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now let's shift a little bit and go from politics to potholes.
Yeah.
So, going on Harvard Boulevard.
Well, Harvard, which is a major project, went out to bid. We got 5 bids in, and ultimately we brought to the council last week a request to reject those bids and start over. Now, that sounds bad, it really should only represent about maybe a 2-month delay. But there were some questions about some of the specifics in the bid process. And we really want to make sure, given the magnitude of this, that we get it right.
Oh, sure, of course. And like you said, I noticed from the staff report, very extensive staff report, that it was just going to be a couple of months delay. Any delay is frustrating, but it's not like it's being put on the back burner for a year. So
That's right.
They're going to be right.
And really, we're confident that the
Mhm.
bids will still come in the range that we had set out. Now that the bids have been made public, I think some of the contractors are going to know what they need to do to sharpen their
Yes,
pencil
that's
and
true. I hadn't thought of that.
get an award. Meanwhile, next week, we go to the city council with an update of our pavement management program.
Oh,
That's
great.
our 5-year program, which we're now 3 years into. So that will help outline the pavement work that will happen this spring and summer, separate from Harvard. So Harvard will still happen, and but it's not slowing us down in our efforts to get all of our streets upgraded.
Now, do they have maps in Public Works of what the I've had several inquiries just in the last week or so about, and I've told them, and I haven't checked myself, but it seemed to me, I know at one point they had maps and lists of streets, and it's
Yes.
still up there on the website.
Yes, we do,
Oh,
but
great.
that map will be updated with the council's agenda packet that will be out later tonight. And so the public can start to look at that. And you might want to look at what basically represents the 2022-23 cycle, maybe even print that map in the paper if you
Sure,
have
absolutely.
that, because that will show what streets are getting worked on. We're also trying to tackle a lot of our parking lots at our city parks. There's some upgrades needed at some of those, and do some ADA curb cuts and sidewalk repairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know there's a lot on the city's plate when it comes to
Yeah.
streets and crosses, and of course, speaking of sidewalks and crossing walks and everything, we've got crosswalk guards now over there at 10th and Ventura.
And kudos to the school district. They moved really quickly when we brought it to their attention within, I think 2 work days. They said, let's get someone out there. The district is paying for that. The city reached out to our outside contractor, and by the end of the week, they already had somebody here on site. So that was a great collaborative effort.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad it's good. Now, spring is here. Spring is sprung.
Yeah.
We've got all sorts of events coming up.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yep. Santa Paula is not a sleepy town. What happened, Peggy? We had a couple of hiccups with the April cruise night, because it's also on a Friday, the same time as Farmers Market. And we've met with the chamber and the police association that helps put on cruise night. And we're looking to possibly kind of do some realigning so that we have better circulation and kind of a contiguous flow between the farmers market and the cars and stuff. So look for changes in that. The next cruise night will be coming up at I think that's May 6th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
May 1st will be a Cinco de Mayo event, or I should say Uno de Mayo, I guess.
Uno de Mayo.
Right. And so that's going to be a great celebration here in town. Our recreation department is really ramping up with not just sports activities, but other classes, and is going to be working with the school district on a extensive 8-week summer camp for our kids. We'll be able to take up to 400 kids this summer.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Lots of activities and enrichment, even including swim lessons and field trips. So be looking for that. That agreement went to the school board for approval, since it's kind of a cooperative effort, and it goes to our city council next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So lots going on.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that there's a program being shared by the school district and the city. I think that's a great idea.
This is,
And
as far as I
swim
know, this is the first time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's historic. And swim lessons. That's wonderful.
I know.
Yeah, it's very neat
super.
that year, swim
Really
lessons.
pleased about that.
Absolutely. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, or I should say you have covered a lot of ground. Do you have anything else that we should maybe be addressing, or something I should have asked you and I didn't, or?
I think the only other thing I would share is that we do continue to see some thefts of catalytic converters around town. It's most prevalent with people that obviously have to park their cars out on the street, but even sometimes in people's driveways. And so we have started a program with a couple of our local auto shops to actually do etchings on people's catalytic converter. And you can do that for free. So call our police station, obviously not the 911.
Right, just the business line.
But the business line, the non-emergency line, 525-4474, I think.
Yes.
And ask how you can get that etching done on your car, free of charge. We're even allowing businesses to do it. So if you have a small contracting company, maybe you're a plumber in town and you've got a couple of vehicles you'd like to have done, we want to make sure to really protect all of our community and minimize the effects of this.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things that I guess the harder they make it to do, the less it'll be done. Even though I imagine though, they're finding that a lot of this is like out of town gangs. They're having gangs of them just come in and swarm the area. And
it is true that a lot of this is not from Santa Paula or even our neighborhoods. There's been a number of people that have been busted, and it's people coming up from LA and other locations. So keep your eyes out.
Mm-hmm. And as always, if you see something, say something.
Please.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way we'll stay together as a community.
Yeah, very good. Very true. Well, I see it's getting late, so I'm going to say perhaps it's time to wrap this up.
I would think so, and look forward to talking again in another month.
Absolutely. It's always great to have you, Dan, and we appreciate all your insights. And of course, as always, your interest in the city, because you truly are interested in the city, and that's very nice. Okay.
Thank you.
And once again, I'm Peggy Kelly with the Mighty Santa Paula Times. This is Good Morning Santa Paula. Our guest today has been Santa Paula City Manager Dan Singer, and we appreciate the time he takes to help the city. We catch up all the residents, catch up with what's going on. If you'd like to watch this, it's on kadytv.com. It's on Channel 10, the city's cable Channel 10, and also on YouTube. If you watch it on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. It's free and it helps us bring more programming to you. So everybody have a wonderful weekend and a very, very happy Easter to everyone. And everybody stay safe. Thanks so much.
Happy Easter to you too, Peggy.
Okay, you too, Dan. And thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.